Oh man, dog, I'm getting kicked out of my place. I'm a little upset.
Kicked out?
Well,
kicked out?
Our landlord dropped a bomb on us last week that they decided to sell the property. So now,
dropped a bomb on me.
Yeah. So the whole last week been a little stressful. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna live by the 17th, but it's all good. You know,
the 17th.
Yeah. I might just say, I don't know, man. It's struggle's real. I just got done watching The Lion King. It was cinematically beautiful, but you know, I had my problems with it here and there.
I keep hearing that.
But
I keep hearing that.
We're going to get into all that at a different time. We actually have a special guest joining us this week. Yes, sir. Yeah. Another friend of mine from good old Cary High. Impin' ain't easy. And I won't finish that sentence because it's 2019.
Let's go.
You know, we socially aware around these parts. But on the other line joining us this week, we got Michael Dragolski.
The Dragon.
White Mike.
Hello.
The Dragon himself.
What's up, Mike?
How you guys doing? Wait, all right, so quick question. How you just going to drop that while I'm right here on the line that your landlord sold the spot?
Bro,
I'm over here hearing that like, oh crap, like
dog,
real news.
Dog, I was legit. No, legit. I was like, it happened last Wednesday. I was just chilling there on the couch watching TV and stuff. Now, like, I personally have been living in this place for like 4 years now, I think, and I've had different roommates throughout. I had a couple that got married, a couple that moved out, and so but I've been there consistently for 3-4 years, and so I'm just sitting there nonchalant. And I just received this email, and I about had a panic attack. I was like, "What?" Yeah, they were like, "Oh, we decided to move the place." Huh?
Can they even do that?
I guess.
I guess, bro. Like, and it's one of those because they wrote up the lease, and you know, they wrote it up however they want, and part of it they got us because
that's true.
Our lease ended in April, and then from there they hadn't given us a new lease, but they were going on a month-to-month base, like basically just pay your rent month to month. And so we like,
so they're good.
We didn't think much into it, but like after all that happened, it was like, dang. This all makes sense now. Why y'all didn't re-sign the lease? And I called them out on it, and they were like, "Oh no, actually, we're considering raising the rent and stuff like that." And we decided.
No, y'all saw this coming.
Yeah, and it's like, no, we decided.
Since you wanted to leave your options open.
We decided this week we wanted to sell the property. I was like, nah,
this week,
whatever.
Nobody decides this week.
Exactly. I was like, nah, nobody just decides. Yeah, you know what? Let's sell it. But
yeah, they knew that. They were thinking about that for months.
Exactly. Got me tight. So I'm going to be as least cooperative as possible. That's the smart adult way to go about this.
Yeah,
so,
be petty.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be super petty. Yes. They're already talking about, we're going to have some people coming by for showings and stuff. I was like, all right, like, first of all, I haven't seen my other two roommates in like a week now.
Jeez.
So however their rooms look, y'all the ones that dropped the bombshell on us. You can't expect anything for us to have it all nice and neat for you when you just dropped huge news on us. And
here's the time you got to be out. Yeah.
I know, exactly. So, but you know what? That's for a different vent session. That's not why we brought you on here. First of all, tell people a little about yourself before we get into some biz.
All right, so my name is Mike. I went to Cary High with Ben. I go to ECU, and so I actually currently live here in Greenville, where Trump was recently visited. I know that's why you guys brought me on here.
Yeah.
So,
we'll get
a little bit about myself.
Mm-hmm. Oh, go continue. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you.
Oh, continue.
Oh no, are you done? You done? I wasn't sure.
I was done. I didn't know I was continuing with.
No, you good? I didn't know you were gonna get into what you studying at school. It's like, hey man, it's your world. We just living in it.
I mean, if you want me to,
you good. You
I
can.
gave
the people enough. They could Google you, find you on the Facebook. Or
Follow me on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a job. I'm jobless at the moment.
I feel you on that. It's hard out here for a pimp, man. I'll be getting it. Never mind. We ain't going to even get into all that. But so yeah, the main reason we wanted to have you on was last week, as you stated, Trump visited Greenville and had a rally out there, and that was turned out to be really controversial. One of the moments that stood out in the crowd. It all accumulated with that rally, but it had begun prior. I think it was that weekend or Monday when Trump had sent out some tweets basically calling out these three congresswomen or Senate women, whatever, women in the government, women of color, and basically telling them to go back to their country. It was four of them, right? Four of them. And
yeah,
four of them, and three of them were actually born in the U.S., which just made it even more funnier. And one of them was like a U.S. citizen. But, he came out with the message, and then afterwards he tried to save face and said, oh, I didn't actually mean it in a racial way, but, blah, blah, blah. But basically, he tried to save face, but at the same time came off extra super racist in typical Trump fashion, nothing surprising. And then, a couple days go by, he has the rally in Greenville. And one of the clips there, one of the moments was when the whole crowd started cheering, send her back, referring to the one congresswoman. What's her name? I
believe it was Congresswoman Omar, right?
Yes, yeah. Referring to her and some of her comments. And, same thing, Trump tried to, the next day save face with that, saying, I immediately stopped them when they started the cheering and all. But if you hear the clip and if you watch the clip, the the chants start, and there's like a good 10 seconds of dead silence.
There's time.
Yeah, there's just time there.
He just like lets them chant, and he like in the video you see him just smiling.
Yeah, he's just admiring the chants, and like he takes a step back from the mic essentially and just takes it all in what they're cheering. And it was disgusting, and everyone like just had so much issues with it. Everyone was going off about it, rightfully so. But it's one of those things that it's one of those continuous things where like just when you think you can't get any more surprised about anything that happens with this administration, anything that happens related to Trump, or just the blatant racism that's been portrayed, he just continues to up the ante. So that's kind of the overall aspect of it. But we're gonna let you go ahead and kind of get into it, Mike, because you were there and you had actually posted on Twitter the day before that you were planning to protest the rally, and so let's just go ahead, dive into it, and let you tell us.
So, well, I guess I'll start from the beginning. We actually made signs for the protest. I made a sign that says like F Trump.
Yeah.
Try to keep it plain and simple. And then I put a picture of like the detainment camps. And it was kind of like that. And I was like, made a bubble sign like "Would Hitler be proud?" Blah blah blah. And then my girlfriend actually had it had something to do with immigrants. But anyways, we're like walking down the street, and this is on the way to the rally. We have guys like rolling down their windows and like yelling at us, saying that like immigrants, like we're assholes for believing in this, and that immigrants are wasting their tax dollars and like all this stuff. And it's just like, it's like the hate of these people I don't understand, because it's like you get mad at like, because illegal immigrants, they actually put in money too. They put in a lot of money into our economy, and they pay taxes and sales tax and stuff like that. But like these Trump supporters don't care about, like, let's say Trump goes golfing with our tax money. He doesn't care at all.
Yeah.
So like
it's a very double standard with like Trump followers and
like, so like I keep going down, and there gets to a point where it's like a sea of red. Like we're just walking, and it is just Trump supporters. Like it is on the sidewalk, we're just bobbing and weaving through just a sea of Trump supporters.
Yeah.
And like they're calling us names and just like calling us like assholes. They're just being hateful, and like you could feel the energy off them too. Like one girl, lady, she called me lawless. She was like, "You're a lawless man." And what's funny about that was that girl who said that happened to actually be foreign. Like you could tell by her accent. So I thought that was kind of, a little ironic. And then, but as we get there, so we get to the rally part, and we finally, with our sea of blue people who are out there screaming, Trump's a rapist and a racist, so we're with our people now. And then it's just like on the other side, so we actually got this approved by the Greenville police. So we had like caution tape around us.
Yeah.
And the police were like essentially kind of just guarding us, making sure everything was peaceful, which is cool. But like these Trump supporters, you could just feel the hate. Like they kept trying to walk up to our caution tape, and the police had to, again, over and over and over again, tell these Trump supporters to stay on their side of the road.
Yeah.
And they just won it. Like they kept trying to be confrontational, and then at one point they even came and tried to sneak around the backside of the caution tape to try to like mess with us. Cause I don't know.
Yeah.
And then, so like as I get into it, it was just, but one thing I gotta say about it, it was actually surprising of like how many minorities I saw out there. That's what I was most shocked at.
Supporting him?
Yes, supporting him. Cause I mean, I wasn't gonna be shocked at like, you know, middle white America being out there. Like I expected that, you know, live in Eastern North Carolina. I expect it to be very Trump friendly, middle white America just being out there, being racist, and that's what we see in the video with the chance of send her back.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there, and so we actually see these two Hispanic guys talking to each other, and one's a Trump supporter and one's not. And then he comes over here and we asked him like, well, why is he like supporting him? And then he goes on to say that it was ironic because the reason why that guy's a citizen is he was born here on vacation. His family was on vacation in America and was born here at that time.
So he just lucked out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's wild because you hear like, and this is the thing like with like media and news and people trying to understand like their own information. There are people right now, citizens, because this is about race. This is about race. It's not about illegal immigration. It has nothing to do with that.
No.
There are Mexican citizens getting locked up in these detainment camps. Mm-hmm. So like that's how you kind of know it's about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's 100% about race. Like everything that's pointed to it, and that's one of those things where like hearing that about how there's a good amount of minorities there is super surprising. Because it's surprising, but at the same time, I'm just like can't fully like understand how you can support something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing just like what that, like seeing how that guy thinks about your people, and it's one of those also because like yeah, you might be a U.S. citizen, you might be born in the state, but like he literally just like demeaned these people that look exactly like you, that were in the same case like you. They were born in this country, like
locking them in cages.
Yeah.
That's wild to me. Not feeding them, putting like there's a lot of psychological stuff, like psychological torture they're doing to these people too. Like they're sleeping with the lights on. That messes with you mentally. Their hunger, like it's just like a lot of. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
what's going on over there?
I mean, giving them like those silver like space things for blankets. Essentially, it's not even a blanket. It's just like it almost looks like a big aluminum foil type. It's just so much stuff that's wrong with everything that's gone on with the whole border, detention and all that stuff, but. Yeah, it's just...
And it would also, like, amazes me is it's like, because that guy was a Trump supporter who happened to be on here vacation or whatever. Yeah. Let's say the Trump fans, I'm going to call them fans, on the other side, were to find out about that, how do you think they would feel regarding him?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'd want him to get out of here, too.
Yeah, they would not consider you as one of their own. Even if they knew you were a U.S. citizen, like you were born in this country, there's still, if they think that way, if they had all that hate for those congresswomen, for Cortez and the other three women, like those women that are born in the U.S., 3 out of 4 of them that worked their way up to like represent our country in Congress, like this country that. Essentially, if you respect the country, you're gonna, and you have all this respect for Trump, you'd have a respect for all other governing bodies of like our system, Congress, Supreme Court, all that stuff. You have, it's like a trickle effect. You support the top tier, you support everything under him. So it's just none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. But that's one of those. That's one of those. It's like they're just irrational people, and it's pick and choose type of thing where, like, this is the guy they've decided to run with, and they're just gonna stick to it.
And another thing that was wild to me was like how uniform all the Trump supporters looked, because like they all had their MAGA hats, all had their red Trump shirts. Like I get like it's a you're just supporting him, it's a rally, but it was shocking to like see just how uniformed everything was. Like it was scary to me. Yeah, because it kind of just, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it was just weird.
Yeah, it almost has like that Klan meeting feel to it when I like.
Yes.
You just see the photos of it and just see just how the way they praise. I mean, a couple days ago I saw something about like this woman, like this couple had a Trump themed wedding at Trump's golf course, and Trump even stopped by, and it was just like they legit during the ceremony, like during the reception and everything, they were cheering Trump, 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 waving flags. It was literally a Trump rally that was disguised as a wedding, and he even stopped by and was there, and I was just watching the video of it, and I was just like, this is so grotesque, because like I can't think of any time since I've been born, since I've been in the U.S., that I recall like people seeing that reaction people have for a president. Like I've never, and there is presidents that it's just, you never saw that with Obama, never saw that with Bush, never saw that with Clinton, for all I can recall. And you
never see it with even like the nominees for it.
Yeah.
Like you never even on Republican side, like you don't see it with like when McCain was like a nominee to be president, there was none of this.
Yeah.
And like I feel like Trump has brought so much hate out of people.
Oh, yeah.
So much.
Well, he's made it like, in a way, the one weird way to look at his administration, just like his time in office, and the scary but also interesting part of it is he's made it okay for those people that are like truly do have hate and just racism in their heart. He's made it a norm, and it's those people like feel completely comfortable with just coming out and, you know, showing how they truly feel. And that's one of those things. It's like, if the one thing, because it's like at some point this dude's gonna have to leave office, and at some point there's gonna be a change. Hopefully that's next year. But the way, honestly, things are looking, and we could get into that later, I'm not exactly sure if that would be the case, but it's like at some point, like, y'all felt comfortable rallying behind this guy, your leader. He's made it comfortable for you to come out, spew your hate, show your true colors, but like, he's only going to be in power for a short time. Once he's done, all your dirty secrets, all these things you've been posting on social media or whatever, like, all of that's going to still be out there. And like,
but even so, you won't know day to day.
Yeah.
Like, you could come across, I guarantee you I come across probably a Trump supporter at least 3 or 4 times a day, whether it's like at a restaurant, gas station, and, you know, they act like friendly to your face.
Yeah.
Then again, I'm also white. I don't know if that's out there, but I'm white.
Oh, no, but
like, obviously they're going to.
Yeah.
But it's like, you don't know day to day, but when they have that uniform on, they were spitting that hate out in the open.
Yeah. Well, like, and that's the thing with like day to day, but even like right now, I'm like just been bartending at this country club because while I like look for a big boy job and stuff, and it was just like easy money in the meantime. But like, I'll be there and I'll be working there, and, you know, some of the dudes, you know, most of them are older white men and all, and a lot of them, it's like, you'll hear some of the stuff they're talking and like just the way they talk and all. It's just like, gosh, like y'all obviously do not keep up with what's going on. Just the Me Too movement, 2019. You can't be kind of talking that way. Like at one point, and it's honestly, I hate the job and just the idea of a country club is so disgusting.
Yeah, country club. I feel like that's
it's just the whole like setup of it is gross and all. But like you hear the way they talk and it's one of those. It's not all of them because it ranges from like you got like dudes that are 30-year-old that like are aware and like I have great conversations with a lot of the guys and some of the guys are like I like a lot. But there you just you get that wide range of stuff, but you definitely see it. And there's just they loved watching their Fox and throwing it on there, and you'll just quickly something political comes up, they just start talking about it. And part of it I don't even like hearing it, but like you'll just catch them saying some of the stuff they say, and it's just like, gosh, like how can you just be so close-minded while thinking you know everything? But it's like you're so wrong. But you somehow have talked yourself into thinking your way is the only way, which is wild to me.
Yeah, I really don't understand it. Like, I don't get how we can just be okay with our government locking people in cages. Like that baffles me that we have people supporting this idea of that. Like, well, I get if you're conservative, if you're conservative and you're not for illegal immigration, okay, that's fine. I get that. You don't agree with it at all.
Regulate that. Yeah,
but there's like a way to do it that's better than locking people in cages.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And forcing them to start. Like, where's your love for humanity if you're just, Yeah. And it's like, and I hate to touch base on religion here, but I mean there's a factor because there are a lot of good majority of Trump supporters, and this is not all Christians. This is not everyone.
90% of Trump supporters are middle-aged Christian white men. Like,
yes, okay,
not even middle-aged, like middle-aged older, yeah, Christian white men, and that's one of the problems because like I'm obviously religious. I'm a Christian. Me and Lindell we both work at a church and all, but it's one of those. It's like just especially like one of the tough part, like while the whole elections was going on, when right before Trump went in office, we were both still working at a church, and I remember that day, like that Tuesday morning when they officially announced that he had won. I came into office and we were sitting in our like just whole meeting, and I legit sat in the back of the room and just broke into tears because it was just. Like, I didn't know why I was breaking in. I just felt so much emotion and just felt so much, like, confusion, anger, and just sitting there in the moment. And it was weird, even there, like, in this, house of worship, these people that believed a certain religion, there was certain people still that were, like, celebrating that victory and, like, happy with the result. And I was just like, none of it made sense. It just left me with a sick feeling.
I know a lot of like some of these middle-aged white American Christians are like without a doubt very involved in their faith.
Yeah,
but they support Trump. And like I'm not gonna say like you can't do both or whatever, but it's just wild to me that you are this much into your faith, but then you sit here and you back up.
I'll say it straight up. There's no way you can support Trump and say you believe in this. Like I'll straight up say that. I'll straight up. And Lindell, I know he's been kind of listening, but he can explain it a lot better because I know he feels the same way, and so I'll let him talk about it a little more.
Nah, first off, Mike, we appreciate you having you on and continue to have you on tonight's recording of the Culture Discourse podcast, bro. It's been a trip. Like I've been thinking about you a lot ever since you sent that tweet because I'm like, bro, I just hope my man's makes it out okay. And that's a crazy thing to think that a friend of yours who's white might even be in danger at this point. Yeah. At a rally like that. And dude, I'm glad that you got to experience some stuff. I'm even glad that you got to experience some of the negative stuff. So I think sometimes the negative stuff can give us perspective on things and force us to like think about stuff in a different way. So I'm glad you got to do it. I'm glad you made it out okay. But when you talk about the religion stuff, bro, that's the one thing that truly bothers me. It's the one thing that truly bothers. Now, I wouldn't say the one thing that truly bothers me. It's the thing that at its foundation bothers me about everything else. Like when you talk about detaining people, like putting people in cages, when you talk about the racism, when you talk about all the bigotry and people speaking without any love for humanity, at the very bottom, at the very foundation, the religious aspect is the part that bothers me the most, because I've been in church my whole life. For 8 years, I worked in church, and I've been around Christianity my whole life. And the thing that frustrates me the most about this is the insistence that you can be serious about your desire to be more like Christ, more like Jesus. You can be serious about that, or at least say you're serious about it, and be a Trump supporter. And now I've been one of those people. I would say prior to probably a year ago, I cut folks some slack. I'm gonna be really honest. I cut folks some slack because we've had a habit politically of letting things slide for a long time. Even Christians have done this for a long time. And a lot of times we end up supporting stuff that we don't even really know fully about. Now, 2016, 2017, 18, 19, bro, we got Twitter, we got Instagram. Like you can't hide stuff at this point. You can't hide the fact that you're a racist if you have and are active on Twitter. Unfortunately, you just can't hide it. And this past year has been really tough as a Christian, because I've had the opportunity to be in conversations with people who say they love Jesus, say they love God, say they want to be more like Jesus. But then you go, okay, if you want to be more like Jesus, then how can you say that you support this dude? Because he's the furthest, he's the opposite in every measurable way. He's the opposite of what Jesus was.
He's a representation of hate.
Yeah, like,
and he brings it out of people.
Like legit. And I spent that first year, legitimately, I spent the first year going, you know what, this sucks, but hopefully people will learn.
Yeah,
and cutting folks some slack. And I do hope people still learn. Like I still hope people learn. But it's gone from that more to, don't talk to me about Christ. Don't even say it. Like, I get upset when people bring up his name. Like, when you go on Twitter and you see people, like, quoting scripture and stuff to try to, like, use it in support of something Trump did or said. Bro, that's when I get, like, truly, truly angry. Because one of the depressing things about this whole thing is, like, you think about detention camps and stuff. Regardless of what Trump says he believes about Christianity or what Trump believers say he believes about, we were on our way there anyway. Like, we were low key. We've been on our way there since Clinton. As a matter of fact, Clinton was the one that started the detention camps at the border in the first place. So we've kind of been on the way there anyway. And the part that really truly bothers me is that people have been championing this stuff and supporting this stuff in the name of somebody who, if he was here physically, bruh, I'm just glad, like, again, me and you know my background. I'm just glad he's not here now, and he's not doing what righteousness and what our form of justice would demand, and that would be just wipe the whole damn planet out. Like, that's what he would do. But he loves us too much to do it. So, yeah, it's super frustrating to be like, quoting scripture and talking about God and what's godly and what's righteous. And I'm like, bro, we got babies wrapped up in aluminum foil 1,000 miles away from their parents. Yeah. We can't be talking about Jesus right now. Like, wow. I don't want to hear that.
Like, you're right. Like, they're like, I just don't understand.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's so frustrating. Like, it's really, like, mind-boggling to think about that. Like, you just said it perfectly.
Like, everything, all of it. Like, again, you talk about somebody who, and you had said this before we started recording, but what the woman said in response to the Trump reference from a few years back, like, there's a solid chance that woman would claim to be a Christian. Like, it's just kind of wild.
Probably would. Do you mind if I go ahead and tell that story real quick?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, continue.
Okay, so this is another instance that happened at the Trump rally. So we're there protesting, and someone in our protest group shouted, "Your president grabs women by the pussy," and then a girl goes ahead and responds back to us. It basically says, no, she screams. She screams, "Grab me by the pussy."
Yeah.
So that's what Lindell was just referring to there. It's like, and you're probably right. She probably was a Christian, but like, even regardless of the fact, how are you okay with like that being said? Like, with your president saying this stuff. Bill Clinton was impeached for Monica Lewinsky.
And there's like, that was with one woman, and Trump's been like accounted for at least 20 women that he's had like sexual allegations against. Yeah. But nope, we let that slide.
Exactly. And we were saying that stuff. So like, one of our chants was like, "Your president's a rapist," and they would just respond back like, "What proof?" And it's like
we actually have
a lot of them.
Recordings.
Pull up YouTube, pull up the internet. Literally,
like you can literally see a video of Trump just grabbing women, and bringing them close and smacking their butt.
Yeah, there was like,
and it's like,
bro, we know you take what you want.
Wow,
he's had a track record of it, and it is tough, man. And just in case, if you're listening to the pod right now, just in case you don't know, there was a recording some years back of him literally saying, you know, if I wanted to, this is what I would do. If I wanted to do this to a woman, this is what I would do.
Yeah.
And he literally says, I would grab her by, like, you know, and it's one of those things like, Brett, this is his voice. This isn't somebody going, oh, you know, I was hanging out with Trump one time and I heard. Nah. We've been past that. And I think one of the hardest things. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, what I was going to say is it's wild because it's like you have families out here in these Trump uniforms that I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
Father, mother, daughters, sons, little kids, all wearing the same up and down uniform. These parents are dressing these kids in this. And you're basically saying that it's okay, like in my mind, this message that it is okay, you're signaling to your kids and your families that it's okay that you can represent someone who grabs one by the pussy. Or then you have women in this crowd shouting, "Grab me by the pussy."
Yeah.
They're like, it's so frustrating that like you guys are letting this message be okay within that group.
For your kids.
And
then, And that's one of those things where it's like you hear this many times, and just to reiterate it, like nobody's born racist. That's all taught.
Mm-mm.
That's all taught.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why and it frustrates me with many of like, because when we worked at Hope, we worked with a lot of, we worked with youth ministry, so we worked middle and high school kids, and, you know, during the whole time when the whole elections was going on and stuff, I had like, I know for me personally, I had frustrating times where like, we'd work with like these kids, you know, these white kids that come for these homes that like, they'd come to some of our events or whatever, and they'd be talking. It's like, yeah, Trump, you know, Trump's gonna make America great again, blah 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 and stuff. And part of them is like a lot of them were just like joking and stuff about it. But there's other kids that truly was like all for Trump. There was one kid that had like legit a "Make America Great" hat, and I think that's part of like this next generation of kids. A lot of them like they're growing up in the trolling era. And so a lot of them, like, in a way, see it as, like, trolling, joking, blah, blah, blah. And I think they don't, like, not all of them fully, you know, recognize the significance of what they're saying, what they're supporting. But part of that, where all they're getting that from, is from home. Like, they're just showing what the people, like, that raised them believe. And they're throwing that out into the streets and stuff like that. And it's just... that's one of the more problematic things going on with this whole thing, where it's like you see all these young kids with it and it's hard to not like see it and get angry at them. But part of it's like, I can't fully be angry at you because it's how you were raised by the people around you, and like you've been fed that all your life to look at it this particular way.
Yo, it is so frustrating because I feel like, to be honest, man, I feel like Cary itself is a bubble.
Yeah.
A very polite bubble.
Oh my
and,
gosh,
you know,
dude.
back when I was in my youth of high school, I was always thinking like, yeah, we're gonna be the generation to make change. We're gonna be the progressives. We're gonna, you know, blah blah blah. You know, the idealism youth that I had. I moved to Greenville, and I meet kids my age that are still racist, still ignorant, Trump supporters, and all this shit. And it blew my mind. Like when I moved to Greenville, I never saw it.
Yeah.
I didn't see it in Cary because I bubble.
Yeah.
Little bubble town. Move out here, and it's just it's two different worlds. I used to think that North Carolina was actually like a really educated, great state. Nah.
No.
F that.
And
We
so, like,
suck.
Well,
me and Lindell could attest to that, like, significantly, because for me, moving from California to here, good lord, dude.
Y'all have a whole different experience.
Oh,
Like,
man.
because I'm not gonna say like there's not racism in California and stuff like that, because you know there's racism.
David Duke.
Yeah, there's racism everywhere you go, but it's just like like North Carolina here is just. North Carolina is very conservative, and it's weird because, like you said, you have those pool of areas, you know, the Raleigh area, and Durham slowly is kind of getting there, and also like Asheville, little
Charlotte.
areas, little
Like
areas
this
that,
city,
that
this cities.
yeah, the areas that are very like, you know, for the most part, you're seeing that younger generation that's very liberal. You know, it's almost like the hipster crowd and all the, you know, it's our generation, the millennials that are like thinking different. No, like, hey, we need to fight for change and stuff like that. And so you're slowly seeing that within those small pools of areas. But yeah, you like just drive 15 minutes out of Cary or whatever, and you know, go to one of these outer area night dales, you know, however long, and it's just, and especially for me, I know for me, because like this year I've been kind of traveling everywhere, just getting to like, that was one of my things I wanted to do this year, really get to travel around more. And there's like certain areas I'll be driving through and I'm just like, God, like if I get a flat tire or anything right here right now, it might be a wrap for me. Like I'm legitimately terrified because like I last thing I would do is go knock on someone's door. Hey, could you help me out with this and whatever? And it's like, even if I try to call someone, like how it's just, there's like, I've become filled with so much like irrational fear that seems irrational, but at the same time it's like, no, I legitimately have to fear this.
It's you try to talk yourself into the fact that it's irrational, and then you're scrolling through Twitter one night and you go,
you see something,
what?
Yeah.
Right? But I'll say this about North Carolina, because North Carolina, and I wish I could get this word out to all mid to late 20s. I really wish I could, because I think North Carolina is way more. We got to get to the point now where we throw out liberal and conservative, because they just don't mean what they're supposed to mean anymore. Neither of those words really do mean, because I would technically be a conservative, and I in no way associate myself with conservative evangelicals, like at all. Like I just don't. I will say this about North Carolina. It's way more split, closer to 50-50 than it feels. Especially like you go to Greensboro and you go to was it in Greenville? The rally was in Greensboro.
It was in Greenville.
You went to school in Greenville.
It was in Greenville. And I know Eastern North Carolina in general is going to vote red. I knew that going into this rally.
It's North Carolina in general is way more split than people think. And this is what I've observed over the last 13 years. And I didn't realize it until I was asked to provide some input into, I won't say the city's name, but it's one of the cities in the Triangle. And I was asked to provide some input on their process with rebranding, and not just like logo and like the look and feel, but it was also like, you know, how are we going to attract people to this area, like type rebranding. And I was asked to like provide some input for that. And one of the things that you kind of find out going through that process, and even by just observing, is I think one of the reasons why it might seem so conservative is because that's the group that feels the most under attack right now.
Yeah.
Because I live in an area that's very heavily Indian, and I know for a fact that the people who live around this area that have for a long time can't stand it. Even if they're not overtly racist, the comfort that comes with having a white person live next to you or across from you is near gone in this area. Like, it's almost our apartment complex feels like 50. It's probably close to 60% Indian. And you can tell that the people who've lived here for a long time can't. As a matter of fact, as much as I want to move out of this place, it is kind of the coolest, like, dopest setup. On one side, I have an Indian family. On the other side, I have a Hispanic family. It's like the dopest thing ever. But that's like the representation of our entire complex. And I know for a fact there are people who have lived here for a long time that can't stand that. Because either A, they don't understand the food. They don't understand the language. They don't understand the culture. And it may not even be an overtly like hate thing. It's just it's something different. I don't want to put the energy
to get to know you, to know your culture.
Yeah, I don't want to put the energy into it. Like, it's inconvenient for me that your first language is not English. And that, to me, again, I'm not going to put it up there with hate, but it's just as disturbing to me to be like, it's inconvenient enough for me to be okay with either relocating myself or with a situation that relocates you. So you get, like, again, I think North Carolina is much more split than it feels. Like, if you love people, it sucks sometimes to live in the South.
And one of the most interesting things about that is because so many times when you deal with something in that situation, it's like, we don't want to get to know your culture. We don't want to, adapt any part of your culture. But it's like, okay, tell us what's your culture. Because your culture, literally everything your culture is, like, that makes your culture.
American culture is the 4th of July.
It's stolen from. Like, what's your?
I'm gonna 100% say this.
Go-to food? Burger? Like, there's
as an American white people. American white people do not have culture. It does not exist.
No, and like anything that you try to pull, like what the U.S. has become with just culturally everything, as far as music, all that, it's all ripped from other cultures, from outside stuff, from other, like, the people
rock
that you hate the most
is ripped from the blues.
Yeah, most music is ripped from the blues, and I mean the most popular music right now in the U.S. and in the world, I'm pretty sure, is hip hop.
Oh yeah,
but that's like
the biggest moneymaker.
The biggest moneymaker, and that's the one. Like, it's ridiculous that no rap album has won album of the year. I think ever. I'm pretty sure there's never been a rap album that's won album of the year. But they love to rip our culture, and that's one of those things where it's like, you don't need awards to regulate all that. That's to say, we know what good music is, and we know how you
then they get it. And then white people get offended when you have a black artist like what's his name? Old Town Road.
Oh yeah, Lil Nas X.
Pawns it off his country.
Yeah, this is not country.
It is country. And then they get so upset when that's the #1 album for weeks, months.
Well,
you saw what happened when he was on the top of the charts, bro.
Black people.
You saw what happened.
Country originated from slaves. It's like you the history that you are so prideful to protect and to fight with all your might. It's like you don't even fully understand your culture.
It's not yours.
It's not yours.
White people spend history in their favor throughout.
Oh yeah, and that's part of the issue.
American
history. One of my favorite like economics teacher and ever, Mr. Ashburn, used to always say, it was like, hey, like, history is written by the winners. And so that's why, and the winner, like, coming up through a time where black people are always oppressed, like, you're going to get the side of the story from white people. And just now we're starting to get a lot of stories from, like, hey, this is how things really went, and this is how, like, stuff with the Star Spangled Banner, when people start digging up, it's like, this lady that wrote it was kind of racist, guys. Like, I understand this song's been in our history for so long, but it's like stuff like that. Yeah, we should maybe consider looking back at, and it's like, hey, maybe we should consider changing the song up or something else. But it's just like this stuff matters, because the only way you're gonna get better is like making those changes, and those little stuff do matter. It's not the idea of like, oh, we're just, our culture right now is overly sensitive. And it's funny when people say that a lot. So, oh, everyone's super sensitive, but it's just like, you label these people super sensitive and all, but it's like yourself, you're actually very sensitive, that you're letting this one thing, you're letting, like, the idea of kids shouldn't be living in this condition. The fact that bothers you so much. It's like one
or doesn't bother you.
Even that, like that, the fact that it doesn't bother you.
Yeah,
that's an issue.
Yeah, the thing that bothers you is somebody else being bothered by it. Like if you're bothered by the person that's bothered by detention camps.
Yeah,
there's something that's off about that. I sometimes wonder how annoying we must seem to other countries. Like I think about Italy, and I think about like these countries that have been around for like forever, and we've only been around for like 200 years. Like I wonder if other countries look at us and go, "Oh, y'all think y'all straight now."
Yeah,
we're only 200 years in. There's some of these other countries that at their peak were like 500, 600, multiple millennia in. We've been around for 200 years acting the way we're acting right now. I wonder if other countries sometimes think, well, y'all keep going that way, y'all won't be around for much longer. Like, it doesn't matter to us because another 100 years we'll all be dead, right?
Yeah,
but like to other countries, like to some of them old countries, they're probably going, well, y'all time is coming soon.
Everything's been on cycles.
Oh yeah, I always had the most woke history teachers. And it was great because they were all super, super Caucasian. And back in like 2006, 2007, 2008, I was almost uncomfortable with how I wouldn't say any of my history teachers were anti-white, but how like neutral they were. And I think that's kind of just comes with the territory of studying history and having to teach it.
Yeah.
The more you learn about stuff, the more you're kind of like.
I've never had a history techer that was like, super
like ignorant. Like you don't have any ignorant history. No, teachers.
Like for the most part, most of them were like where I first started to like.
That's right.
Yo, I got to pay more attention to this, and it's like, this is actually, and history, quickly became one of those subjects that I like the most because they taught it in such a neutral way where it's like, this is just straight cut, like this is what happened, and this is this is why we should be observing these things, and this is why this matters, and this is like we're seeing reoccurrence of certain stuff that like you hear about in class. It's just wild to me. Like we're living in a current stage that like 50 years now, kids are going to be studying in their class, and it was like, wait, this dude was our president? This dude was our leader of our country?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, that thought. Because you read like I said, you read history books and you read about all these people like, yo, this guy was crazy, blah, 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 and stuff like that. And it's like, we're living in that right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we have one more year of it, and the way things playing out right now, like, there's nothing that's shown me that we're not in for another 4 years.
Yeah.
No, and that's what's scary, because it's like, what I hate about Trump a lot, well, besides like he's a racist and all that, but he's, for one, dividing America through his racism and prejudice.
Consciously, like
and
willfully
at the same
doing
time,
it. Intentionally.
He's trying to draw in other crowds. For instance, like his tweet the other day, he's trying to work on freeing A$AP Rocky right now.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The little stuff.
It's like stuff like that he's doing on purpose so he can get votes from the African American community.
Yeah, to make it seem like he's there for you, where it's like, and the sad part is like there will be people that fall for that, where it's like,
no, there will be, and because it's wild. I don't know what I was about to go with this, but anyways, I just thought of something that happened at the rally again, and I remember it was actually a black guy who, a Trump supporter, who like looked at us, said, you guys don't like Trump because you're broke. That's what he said to us.
And that's funny
And then-
because
I was sitting.
go ahead.
Oh, because so like in my mind, like it's funny because I know you are not rich enough to be benefiting from Trump
Yeah.
because he's only catering to the top 1%, and I like you're not in the top 1%. You're living here in Eastern North Carolina, most likely.
I mean, his tax bill allowed Amazon, the richest company in the world, to go last year without having to pay any taxes. That is
Ridiculous.
Stupid. That is stupid. That just makes that's just absurd. All that money could be fed back into our economy. Like the fact that we don't have health insurance, like free health insurance or affordable health insurance.
People act like the money's not there.
Oh, that's socialism, yo. That's communism.
That's what I'm saying.
People act like the money's not there.
That's what people
cracks
think.
me
Like
up
that's what they get mad at.
Yeah, when cats ask me, "Oh, where's the money gonna come from?" I'm like, "You do know we're like multiple trillions upon trillions of dollars in debt, right? Like if we really wanted to come up with the money to do something, we could do it. It's not about money; it's about the willingness to do it. It's about the willingness to do it. Like the fact that Flint still got orange and brown water, bro. Like if we wanted to solve that problem, that probably would have been solved.
Orange and brown water, and one of the like more disgusting things that happened was like when we look back at Notre Dame when that was burning down. Like U.S. we sent like hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah, we sent hundreds of millions of dollars there immediately in support for an old church. Like, yeah, I get it. It's a historic site. Blah blah.
That
blah,
could go into like
that. I think it was
it could go into so many more things.
Yeah, I think it was like you take a quarter of that money, you could have fixed Flint easily. And so like the people in Flint, I'm surprised they haven't just like upped and rallied and like started just destroying everything, because I would have lost it by like what is going on? This is stupid.
I'm not sure if this is true or not. I've been reading like apparently they have the money to fix Flint, but it's the legislation at the community level is what the issue is, which I'm still confused why that's an issue. But this is what I don't know, been seeing that on Twitter and social media lately, but I don't know how true it actually is. So I'm probably going to fact check myself. But
yeah, so there's a lot of infrastructure stuff there, and the stuff that's already in place makes it difficult to make any moves. But again, when I talk about willingness, stuff like this all really comes down to votes. Because when the money issue is gone, all it comes down to now is votes at the local level. And I don't mean like constituent votes. I'm talking about, hey, are we going to pass this or not? So it is tough, man. Like when it comes to financial stuff, it very rarely is a matter of where does the money come from. People like to pretend like that's a thing, but again, even if we wanted to come up with with imaginary numbers, again, the trillions and trillions of dollars of figurative debt that we're into other countries, if we wanted to come up with a dollar sign, we could. It's very rarely, unfortunately, a matter of money. It's much more a matter of willingness, despite what people would have us think that it's a money thing. It's not so much a money thing. It's do we care about it enough to move money around? So, kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, and the sad part is like, the closer we get to this next election, the just grimier and like this. What happened in Greenville is just the beginning of it.
No, yeah, we haven't seen it yet. Yeah. It hasn't hit its peak.
It hasn't hit full stride yet, and we're just gonna have to deal with this for another year and a half, and that's like, I think what's gonna be so telltale of our country, like whatever happens November 2020, like will define us. Like the past 4 years has already defined us so much. But like you're really gonna see it this next election coming around. And just, I mean, one of the most frustrating things is like, bro, you take like 0.1% of all the stuff that, like any of the stuff Trump's done, you throw that on Obama, man, he would have been he would have been gone. He would have been gone. This dude was walking on thin nails.
Bro, they were trying to get him on a birth certificate, bro. My man would have been out.
He was tiptoeing,
of all people, was trying to get him
glass
on
his whole life.
Yes. My man would have been out.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but Trump won't release his taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
imagine if it was Obama. Like, we'd be upset about this.
And that's why we're like, you just know how much of a cool head Obama has and all, because like, I would have been so petty.
Yeah, I'd have came for everybody's neck, bro.
I would have been the most pettiest. I'd have been like, so, y'all hated me for 8 years. Y'all wanted me dead for 8 years because of like, the worst thing I'd done. You
deported.
Yeah. You wanted me deported, you wanted me dead, blah, 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 and stuff, because you didn't like my health care policy, blah, blah, blah. You didn't like this and that. I got us out of a dang recession that George Bush had tossed us in. And
that's what people seem to forget.
That's the thing. Like people Obama was there for 8 years. 8 years. He came in when we were literally at our worst comparatively to the Great Depression.
Worst ever.
Yeah. Second worst, right behind the Great Depression. He carried us out of that, and then he got us the economy thriving again. And Trump essentially is one of those like
cooks over. He inherits a strong economy.
Obama hit the home run, hit the grand slam, and Trump's now running the bases and taking credit for it.
No,
he's like the.
It's wild because like Obama's economy when he left, amazing. Like 5% unemployment rate, the highest stocks have ever been when he left. And, Trump comes in and he just takes the economy, inherits a strong economy, and the economy just goes a little bit further.
Yeah.
And what's wild is like what people seem to be able to forget, and this goes back to like what history is so important. If we look at the Great Depression and we look at that time, and right before the Great Depression happened, stocks were at an all-time high. At an all-time high, people thought it crazy to keep going and going and going, but consumer buying power was not the same. And that's the same that's going on now. Trump does not care about our lower class or our middle class families. He cares about that 1%.
That 1%.
Herbert Hoover during the time of the Depression was cutting taxes for billionaires and everything like that, trying to get rid of labor unions and stuff like this. And this is exactly the same thing Trump is doing now.
Yeah.
And it's like history is going to repeat itself. If we even look up at economists, I think it's like 70-something% believe we're going to have a recession in the next like couple years. But right now, we just look at stock numbers. That's all like we look at to base our economy off of.
Yeah, and that's what he analyzes his economy off of also. It's like, economy's at an all-time high. Look at the stocks. Black unemployment. God, he says that one more time. It's like, bro, none of that is anything of your doing. Like black unemployment being at an all-time low. Blah. No, none of that is to your credit, dude. I will not give you any credit for that. You came into the system. And this is about
to fall.
Go ahead.
Like, but because of how his government is being ran, his tax breaks, and all this stuff, he's going to cripple Obama's economy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it sucks. It's literally going to become crippled.
I mean, literally, from the get-go, when he got into office, the first thing he was doing was literally everything Obama did, we're going to undo. That was his plan from the get-go.
How does that make sense? Like, Obama has this plan set up. It has been working. We've inherited a strong economy, but I'm going to cut it, do my own thing, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes sense because of who helps you get into office or who is beneficial to you once you get into office to provide advantages to. Like and this is from every president on both sides of the spectrum. Unfortunately, big corporations have far too much influence into elections and presidential candidates than they should. And a lot of times we see that influenced in how economic policies.
Yeah, they're the lobbyists.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
it's rough.
Yeah,
and that's why we're not getting anywhere with climate change. Like, we know this is a real deal, a real issue, but like these big oil and coal companies are not going to let that happen.
Yeah, that's the other thing, because you let these major companies, like, you let that propaganda start getting fed in. Those major companies are the ones that are going to suffer the most because they're the ones with the with the products, the stuff that they would have to adjust and all that.
This is the thing that's mind blowing about the climate change stuff and the concerted effort to make it seem fake and to make it sound fake or to prove that it's fake is what motivation would anybody have to say the world's too hot and it's our fault? Like what motivation, what financial motivation would anybody have to do that? Which makes it even worse when you flip to the other side. What motivation would somebody have to convince you that it's a non-issue? Industry. Because industry is the thing that's burning holes in the ozone layer and causing our Earth to heat up. We're talking about drilling. We're talking about fuels. We're talking about the way that we process and distribute and buy energy. Like that's what's just so wild. It's like there's no reason for somebody to say, "Dang, we should probably invest more into sustainable energy, sustainable renewable energy." Right? Right? Like, what if you go, "Oh yeah, no, the Earth heating up, like global warming, that's fake." It's so weird. Like it's so weird, and it doesn't practically make sense, but it makes complete sense when you look at where the money goes and where people want the money to go. Wild. Kind of depressing.
Super depressing.
Mm-hmm.
But
it is.
And going back to earlier what you were saying where Trump looks out for the 1% and just how he's been bragging about the economy. Like one of the things I think people forget about is like when you're in office, you have to let go of any businesses you own, of any businesses you own, any other sorts. Basically, you got to quit all your other jobs because you got this one big job, which is running a dang country. Trump's still making money off his Trump Industries and all that other stuff. Like, you can't do that. You literally cannot do that. But he is. It's so, just doesn't make sense. But people let that slide by, and they're over here. It's just this idea, he's fixing our economy and stuff. And it just makes me think back to Dave Chappelle in one of his Netflix specials where he kind of takes a look at Trump. He's like, hey, I actually like Trump because, Trump's helping me out. He's like, all you middle-aged, middle class, lower class people that support him and think he's like looking out for y'all. It's like, nah, like he's helping the 1%. I'm in that 1%. Like,
nah, it exactly like that's why he's helping ASAP Rocky.
Yeah,
he sits in that 1%. Like we can sit there and say all day, oh yeah, like he's helping like a black person out, but it's not that. He's helping his millionaire. He's helping his millionaire. That's what he cares about.
And that's like an easy it's like an easy shiny star that he could throw on his fridge that like, hey, I helped a black person out. I'm not racist.
Mm-hmm.
Like
but like that's the irony of it because who shows up at the rallies? Who shows up? It's the middle class and the poor folk.
Yeah,
that's the irony. You think rich folks showing up to? Heck no.
No,
we in our air conditioning.
Rich folks know this dude's an idiot and he's wild and like. You don't see anyone.
That's what I was trying to.
Yeah,
that's the irony of it is the people he's helping out. Or I would say this even the flip side. The people that he's stepping on are a lot of them supporters. Are the very people who are his biggest supporters. Yeah. I'm like, bro, how? Like, I just don't get it. But, make America great again.
He is such a fraud and people buy into it. Like, the poor America, middle class America is eating it up out of his hands when he just tweets, jobs are all the time low. I've got all these people employment. They're eating it up. And it's sad because it's like, it didn't really change. You changed by a few percent, but we see who you're benefiting here. You're getting away Medicaid, Medicare. My friend has to pay school insurance out of pocket now because his Medicaid's gone.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like one of those things. Like I'm starting to I've been on my parents, but like after my next birthday, like I'm off that, and like I got my whole like I have sickle cell. Like I have medicine that I have to take every day and stuff like that. That's stuff I have to like start thinking about. And it's like if I don't get a job that like has good healthcare or anything like that, like I'm screwed. and like that's a lot of stuff I'm gonna have to start paying out of pocket. It's just stupid, and that's one of those for like so many people, so many American. Like I'm lucky to have like been able to with my situation and all, but there's like people with like diabetes. Like I saw something where it was like there's so many people resorting to buy insulin from the black market, which is
rationing
I can't talk about it. I can't talk.
Yeah, and you just see that it's like you shouldn't have to risk your life to that extent, like going to those extremes just to live. Like just literally, it's like I don't get this, I'm gonna die,
bro.
So I got to go to this extreme.
Oh my gosh.
And so, like, okay, for one, I have a few things I'm about to just go on here. For one, Trump is failing so many promises. Like, at this rally, people were, like, yelling at us saying, fund the wall and all this stuff when he, like, basically just said that Mexico was going to pay for it. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh, yeah,
but he said Mexico would pay for it. And now we have his supporters yelling, fund the wall at us. Thought that was stupid as hell because it's like, you're just buying into what he just has to say, and you just disregard the facts of what he's delivering. He said he was going to reduce our national debt completely. He's increased it by 77%. Mm-hmm. And then another thing he said he was going to go after big pharma. But then recently I believe he just made a deal where it's like big pharma companies are going to be profiting and benefiting as well and can keep their drug prices high. And it's like in America, in supposedly the greatest country in the world, we have people, like you said, rationing insulin and dying because they're not getting what they need. Yeah. Why is that not free? Not free, but why is it not affordable?
Yeah, and it's like not getting what they need, literally, because there's a couple companies that have a monopoly on whatever the industry, whatever the product is, and they're allowed to do that because our government lets them.
And then the FDA is at fault too, because they only approve so many companies, and then that's what the monopoly comes from. Yeah, and it's like I just don't how like. And then a lot of people are against the idea, like people hate Bernie. A lot of the conservatives hate Bernie because they think he's a socialist and a communist and all this BS. No, Bernie just cares about people having the necessities to live a basic life.
Yeah,
that's what he means. Healthcare, a minimum wage of $15, which is understandable because it's like you have Jeff Bezos who has $130 billion, and then you have Amazon workers who can barely put food on the table.
Yeah.
And that drastic inequality, the inequality of wealth is like, I don't.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense. And when
I don't get it.
Yeah, like when you bring up someone like Jeff Bezos and stuff, it's just to me still, Amazon paid no money in taxes for last year's revenue they brought in, and there's so many the major companies didn't pay any. How does that, but like you get someone that owns a local business gets hit with huge like taxes and all this stuff. The middle class, the lower class getting hit with so much taxes, like it just doesn't add up. But like to be so brainwashed, and this kind of, I think this best helps understand where Trump supporters are coming from. It's this tweet that I gotta look up. His name is Tim Wise. That he had a whole thread on Twitter a couple of days ago, kind of taking a look at like this next election and the way Democrats have to go about it.
Was that when he was talking about the Duke guy?
Yeah. He was comparing
the California. Duke. Okay.
Yeah. He was comparing.
Yeah, I read that thread. I saw you retweeting it and saying this and stuff on Twitter, and I went to go ahead and read through the thread, and that was something.
It was, and it really got me because like I listen to Breakfast Club a lot, and one of the things like Charlamagne says a lot is like these new people that like these new candidates, just Democratic candidates, they can't go about bashing Trump and like saying whatever they want. Like they need to be saying what they're gonna do to fix the country, their policies and stuff like that. Like education, all that stuff. That's what they need to be addressing. And for a while there, I was agreeing with him. I was like, yeah, like it can't be like Trump sucks, so like vote for me, Dad. It's like we need more than that. But basically, what Tim Wise is saying was like, no. Like, you need to do that. You need to point out the hate and like the disgusting behavior he's had, because if you're not doing that at every step, you're normalizing his language, his demeanor, and like we've seen that over the past 3 years. Like, we're getting more and more like just accustomed to the disgusting stuff he says. Like, we'll have moments like last week where, you know, it gets to a point at a rally where people are yelling, send her back, where we just get disgusted to that point. It's just like we take a step back. Okay. But a couple of days later, we go back to it, and he tweets something or he says something, and we just kind of like, dude's ridiculous, whatever, we let it go. But we're like, each time we don't address a racist thing he does or something that he does, we're normalizing that, and Democrats have to call that out, because he was saying, you know, with Duke, the Klan leader, when he basically ran for, I believe, California's Senate in 1990, and then the next year he tried to run for governor. He lost both, but like the first year he had like close to, I think, 55%. I don't know. He had like 45 or
white 50. Californian voters.
Yeah, white Californian voters. He had a decent amount. Like he barely lost that race. And so he's all like, the next year when he was running for government, they switched their tactic, because the year before they were just kind of focusing on like policies and like, this is what our policy is going to be versus his policy, blah blah blah. But he was like, nah, the next year, like, we switched up our whole game plan, and basically we were gonna focus on the hate he was spewing and like the disgusting stuff he was doing.
And like the result of that is like the voters who voted him for the first time, they voted for him again the second time. Yeah. But it brought out more people who didn't vote because they saw that hate.
Yeah. And
so like, all right, I'm gonna be honest, I have a confession here. I did not vote in the last election.
Mm-hmm.
I went to vote, but then it turns out I didn't register properly.
Yeah.
I thought I registered at Pitt Community College, and so I was like prepared to go in and vote, and I was going to vote for Hillary. Yeah. But in the end, I wasn't able to because I wasn't registered.
Yeah.
But now I know, for me, this upcoming year, I'm getting that's just getting done.
Yeah. So like
I'm going like 100%. I'm going to be registered and I'm voting.
Yeah. So like for me, and one of the issues I have with the voting, and like we should change it now, because it's like learning electoral colleges in school and all, like I know how it all plays out. And so I went and voted. I voted for everything except the presidential one, just because at that point I just knew North Carolina was red. And that's part of it where it's like, even at that point I should have probably voted for Hillary still or someone else and all, but it was essentially just like knowing I just knew dead set, like everything that it showed, it was just North Carolina's dead set painted red. And I just knew
your county was going to vote blue. You knew that.
Yeah.
But every other county is voting red here. So.
Yeah, it's like, it's one of those.
You know, that was one of the craziest things that I watched unfold was Wake versus everybody.
Yeah.
Like Wake County versus everybody was nuts.
It was like there's a dot of blue and then all around is just
that junk was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
Well, Wake's low key.
And honestly, that's what's going to happen here in North Carolina again. Unless, I mean, I just view the same thing. Seeing how many Eastern North Carolinians were out there, just
no. Like the way it's been,
it's gonna be red.
No, North Carolina is one of those. Like we said, there's small pools of places where it's very like, you know, liberal and all, but like for the most part, North Carolina is still a very conservative state. And we just like look at it. But
what's wild though?
We look at it how
we are a swing state.
We are, but it's like I think like Lindell said, it's very 50-50. But I think it goes back to this whole David Duke thread I was talking about. It goes back to like this next election, we need more of the people that like would vote against Trump to show up, because that was the difference for them.
Mm-hmm.
He said between 90 and 91, it was like and that was one of the things I wanted to highlight. Where I gotta find let me find it up. I have this pulled up real quick. So I'm just gonna kind of read some of the thread because I think it's really good. I'll pick up for me. So I'm not saying that the Democrats don't need policy ideas, but focusing on wonky, look how much I've thought about this stuff is not going to move the needle in 2020. What the left never understands is we need to stop approaching elections like the goddamn debate team and start approaching it like the right does, like the cheerleading squad. The right knows psychology, and we know public policy and sociology. Great. The latter does not win elections. People who say the Democrats should ignore Trump's race baiting because it's some genius political strategy calculated to distract us are idiots. He's no genius, and if you downplay it, you normalize him. If you make this about policy, you normalize him. He is a racist. He's a white nationalist. He's an authority. I can't even say the word, I'm sure. He and his cult are a threat to the future of the nation and world because of their hatreds. His movement betrays the country's promise. That is the message that will drive turnout, not debates over marginal tax rates or how we're going to fund schools, and anyone who says we should ignore the race baiting to talk more about Mueller and Russia is an even bigger fool. That's like talking about Duke and late tax payments or other corruptions. It might all be true, but it is not the point. Not to say the House shouldn't impeach over that stuff. They should. But the 2020 candidates must craft a message that is not about that. Trumpism is the threat to America more than Putin. And Putin didn't birth Trumpism. Conservative white America did. And like I said, I was literally driving back from Atlanta when I had kind of been scrolling through Twitter and I saw Jamel Hill had retweeted it, and I kind of started reading it, and like it just caught my attention and I kept reading it. And yeah, he points out so many good points. And there's this other part I wanted to find that can't find at the moment. Linda, I'll say something about me sometime.
Yeah, no, it's I was just joking with Ben about this earlier with reading through a thread, and you know, we joke about too long didn't read all the time, like TLDR, like we joke about that. This was one of those threads like you're like 9-10 tweets in and you're still reading. Like I was like captivated, and it's equal parts frustrating and encouraging because you go, oh, okay, there are people who are way educated than me that see this and notice this and are trying to get the word out. But also discouraging in the sense of like, bro, this isn't new. This isn't new stuff. But I'm always going to try to be a voice of encouragement. Like, I know it's super easy with an episode like this to be like, rah, 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 like F Trump. Like, we hate what this is and what this represents. And here's what's frustrating. Here's what's depressing. But ultimately, bro, and that's why I bring up what I brought up about North Carolina. Like, it technically is a swing state. And it's a lot more even than people think. It's just that the people who feel most under attack, which is a complete illusion, by the way. That's why Make America Great Again is so successful, because it's an illusion of attack. It's an illusion that this country was like needs to be like fixed. And there are things about this country that do need to be fixed.
Yeah.
But it's all under the guise of like, you are under attack. Let's take our country back type thing.
Yeah, it's the like war mentality.
Yeah, like that's an illusion, and another illusion is that
painted, like you said, the illusion perfectly, from the slogan "Make America Great Again" to, I don't know, like the whole Independence Day or July 4th parade he had with like where it showed
like very North Korea
smoke and mirrors, bro.
Yeah.
No. And then have you guys seen the video of the girls singing and dancing?
Yeah, I know
that's
exactly
so
what
creepy.
you're talking about. It's so weird.
Creepiest.
But it's one of those things like, dude has really just been winging it. Because literally all he had planned forward was he had his like initial like when he was initially running, he had all that planned forward. There's like many evidence and stuff you can look up where he did not expect himself to win at all. All he was doing this was basically as a publicity stunt, and he figured he would like maybe make it through the first couple of cuts, maybe be down to a final or whatever. But all he was basically doing that was just to as a publicity stunt, and at that point he was trying to start working with some he was trying to build some Trump stuff in Russia and some of these other countries, and so that's why he had the tie to Russia and all that, because it was just all he was in it for the money. He was just trying to get his businesses thriving. And then once he started, go ahead.
I would argue that this is something he's been thinking about or was planning on doing for a while, because he's flirted with the idea of running for president since like the early 2000s.
Oh no.
And then
no, that's what I'm saying. Like no, he totally meant to run for president, but I think he didn't expect to win. It was just all like, hey, we get to this far, but it was one of those who was doing it where he'd be in the limelight, in the media light, and he was doing it for the publicity, but he didn't fully expect himself to be able to win, I think, until he came down to it being him and Hillary. And then once they started speaking all the stuff with email, and like at that point, I think they were starting to like, oh wait, we could actually win this. And that's when you saw they even turned it up a notch, and they just like went fully at Hillary, and it was just.
Now, I don't know like the fact checking on this, but I saw this in a Netflix documentary. Apparently, Trump coined the "Make America Great Again" right after Obama was elected for the second term. You know how they have like that dinner or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that dinner is called. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But during that, Obama was clowning Trump, because before that, previously, that was when Trump was going after Obama about like the birth certificate.
Yeah,
and
he'd been
all
the
that.
one going the hardest at Obama about the birth certificate stuff.
So there's like a video, or like you see like at that dinner where Obama is just joke after joke after joke on Trump, and you just see Trump like you just see him there just like laughing, but like not really, like you just see the anger
laughing,
like
but
spewing
on
out
the
of
inside
his.
you could tell he was pissed off.
And so like apparently the fact check on is like next day he coined "Make America Great Again" and started planning from there.
Hey.
Yeah, he didn't coin it, but I do remember when he started using it, and he started using it when his Twitter presence started picking up, and that he started, because Reagan used it, and his big thing was "Let's make America great again." But yeah, Trump basically took that, and again, like if that element of it was strategic, because Reagan is widely he's worshipped by the GOP. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
And going back to that thread I was reading by Tim Wise, I found the part I wanted to pick up from, but he said to flip Duke voters would require that they accept the fact that they had previously voted for a monster, and people are loath to do that. Our goal was not to flip them, but to drive up turnout among the good folks, many of whom stayed home in 1990. And so that goes on to say, like, when he takes a look now with this upcoming election for Trump, he says, first, trying to flip Trump voters is a waste of time. Any of them who regret their vote don't need to be pandered to. They'll do the right thing.
Exactly.
Don't focus on them. That said, very few will regret their vote. They cannot accept they voted for a monster or got suckered.
Nah.
And
they won't take an L.
They
will not take an L.
That is like the most
infuriating
thing about Trump supporters. It's you, and that's one of those things. Like when we were talking about earlier, it's like how can you just go about your day and not be bothered by the fact that there are kids locked up in cages and stuff like that? But it's like, no, for many of them, they probably are bothered by it and all, but they voted for this guy and they've rode with them, and so they're gonna because as Americans, we're so prideful. You're going to stick with your guy no matter how sleazy it may seem. Like, no matter what. Like, it's like one of those things. I've rode with him for this long. It's like, I'm going to just keep riding it out. And, it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
And back to, like, the pandering thing. I feel like the people who voted for Trump the first time and then they just regretted it, they, like that tweet says, they don't need to be trying to. You don't need to sway them. Yeah, they're already swayed by his actions.
Yeah, they realized their mistake, and I know, like, because like I said, I know those people from the first time around. I know a lot of people that voted for Trump, and they were like very out about it and stuff. And legit, within the first couple of months, because I think one of the first major things he had was the whole when he was doing the whole
was it Paris Agreement? It
wasn't the Paris Agreement. It was the whole when the deportation stuff. That's what essentially started. That was when like he had people. That's when because I think that's what he started off early with, where it was
it was about the Muslim ban.
I think it was Muslim immigration.
Yeah, the Muslim ban. Yeah, that was the thing from the get-go. That was like, I think that was in January or February. So that was like a couple months into his his run as president, and immediately like I had seen those people started started denouncing him and stuff. And early on, I had a couple of those people like that I knew personally that I was straight up calling out, and I was like you're part of the problem, dude. Like you're part of the problem, whether you like it or not. And I understand we all make mistakes and stuff, but like you worried so much about supposed emails that like we later find out weren't that bad at all. You were so worried about some emails that this woman had that you talked yourself into this guy. And like legit, one of the people I talked about, or I heard this from several people that voted for Trump, where it was like, well, yeah, I know Trump is bad, but at least he's not Hillary bad. And it's just like,
yeah,
that is your logic for voting. Like, I know this person, I'm gonna vote for this person because I think they're less bad than the other person. What? No. Like, no. That's like, say you have a kid, like you're gonna get someone to babysit your kid. It's like, I know this person's a terrible babysitter, and this one's a pretty bad babysitter also, but I'm gonna go with this one. They're a little less worse than this. It's like, no, you're gonna be like, no, screw both of you. I'm gonna go find someone else that's better fitted to do this job or whatever. And that's when it was just like, yeah, first of all, we shouldn't have. I think Hillary got painted in a terrible picture in the first place. Like, we can clear that. But the fact that like Trump even got to the point of where he did, part of it, like I think so many people. I remember we were like at one of our work retreats or whatever. It was like we're at a beach house, and when it was the year before he had got voted in. The year before, when he was first still fighting out the other Republicans. We were sitting in this huge beach house, and one of the nights they threw, like the debate was on, and they threw on the debate, and everyone was just joking and stuff. This guy's ridiculous, blah blah blah. This is all gonna end soon. He's not gonna make the next cut and all. But the whole time I'm sitting there and I'm just watching this, and I'm just like, y'all are getting way too much a kick out of this and all, and you guys might think it's gonna like end. Like he's not gonna make the next cut, but like, what? Like how sure can you be of that? And sure enough, he becomes a Republican representative, and he's like, yeah, but it's not gonna keep going on. Then he's the president, and there's still, but like, there was people that was like, once he's in office, he's gonna cool out, he's gonna be normal. He was just doing all that stuff to win. Nope. He gets worse. He gets worse and worse. But people continue to come up with excuses. No, this. It's just wild.
And at this point, it's not even for him. It's because they just can't take an L.
Yeah, can't take an L.
That's my favorite and least favorite part simultaneously, because somebody, especially when you're having a conversation with somebody when you know that this person or a group of people is intelligent enough to know the difference, and yet they use excuses that they know are false, it's both gratifying and depressing all in one, because you're like, yeah, bro, I don't even have to win the argument because you won it for me. But at the same time, this is the argument we're having right now. We're having an argument about basic, like, human decency. Like, that's what we're arguing about right now. Like, and you talk about police brutality and like the war on drugs, and again, the detention facilities along the border states. It's wild because these are all things having to do with like basic human decency, and it's crazy because I never thought we would be having arguments about this stuff, but here we are.
Yeah, man.
who do you guys? What's your Democratic nominee looking like? Who do you guys like?
Bro, there's too many for starters.
Right now, I'm really leaning towards Kamala Harris. Like, there's a lot of people that have issues with some of her stuff in the past. I'm like, but it's like a lot of people like are riding with Joe Biden because he was Obama's dude and all. But it's like, Joe Biden's not actually all that great of a dude. And also, when you look at his past, it's like,
I think Trump would kill. I think if Biden's our nominee, I think Trump wins.
Trump would destroy Biden.
Bro, he would beat the brakes off a guy.
I think
the way.
I hate to say it, I feel like Trump would beat Bernie too.
Oh, yeah. He might be worse. Because Biden at least has the Obama thing.
I really like Bernie. I like Elizabeth Warren, but I think our best bet to beat Trump is Kamala Harris.
I'm still holding out hope for Andrew Yang.
Andrew Yang has been like a solid like dark horse.
Ooh, Andrew Yang.
Andrew Yang would be perfect because like Andrew Yang and Kamala Harris would be perfect because Trump would have to resort to racism in some sort of way. Like he would,
he'd have to go full exposure.
He would have to go full it's not even he's
no
gonna have
around
to.
It.
It's just it's gonna leak out. Like there's no way.
Even if it's not like an intentional thing, like, oh, I'm going to do this so I can win, but his racism or prejudice is going to show.
Yeah.
And people will see that, and people are going to be like, oh, we can't have this.
Or at the very least, even if they don't care, it's one of those things where, like, man, I can't.
It's like, if it's blatant.
I can't
if
side
it's blatant,
with that.
There's no way you can try to argue that, like, whatever happened isn't right. Like, it's for, like, when he sent out those tweets last week. Nobody could. Oh, it wasn't right. Like even he couldn't. He couldn't. He tried to play it off, and he just ended up coming off more racist. And then what happens the next couple of days? People at the rally they say that chant, and then he's just even more like, oh damn, I really dug myself into a hole here. And he didn't help himself because he tried to denounce it the next day, but he was over there taking a step back and admiring it. And so. What I liked about Kamala Harris the most was the way, like, during the whole Kavanaugh trial, the way she was grilling dude. And, like,
she was toasting my man's buns.
Dude was legit about to lose his shit on the stand there, like, during the whole investigations and all that. And she was not having it with him, and just the way she handled that whole thing. And she's been on the Breakfast Club a couple times. I've seen her interview there, and I've also seen some of her other interviews. And she's got the most, like, solid as far as, like, things to say, where I think she's handling the most, where it's like, one, she's not backing down from Trump. She's been doing this for a long time, and I think for her, it's like she has a lot of like black people not supporting her because some of her old past stuff and all, but they're supporting Joe Biden. And it's like, nah, Joe Biden has, I forget what he was, that he was part of one of the tax bills from like the 90s. That
I forget which one it was. Some guy grilled Biden on that. During the debate.
Yeah, and she even grilled him on like the whole busing thing when where it was like segregated busing, and there's some areas like busing they didn't come to, and so kids weren't able to go to school, and like how that had affected her. And so there was so many different things that Biden was getting grilled at. But like you said, or Lindell said, it was like Biden would be the best and worst because he has the most support coming off. Like he'd have Obama's vote, like a support, but Trump would have so much to go at him with.
And that's the thing, because Biden's biggest thing would be cheerleaders, and ain't nobody got more cheerleaders than Trump.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna have a cheer off, again, Biden would get the brakes beat off of him in a cheer off.
Yeah. But and Kamala Harris has proven that like in a cheer off, she can go Duke to Duke.
Yeah, she can flex a little bit.
Yeah. She can, because I think she would follow Tim Wise's advice. She would make it less about policy and more of going at him for what he's done and what he said.
She's a black woman. Like she's a woman. That's one thing he hates. She's black. That's another thing he hates. Boom. Like there's no
perfect.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, the sad, I shouldn't be laughing because it's the truth. You could maybe argue this 3 years ago. And the sad truth is you can't argue it anymore. That he hates women and he has a well documented disdain for people of color. Like you could have maybe made that argument 3 years ago that that's not true. He's just kind of a part of a generation that doesn't really mince words. Like I kept hearing that like he just says what he thinks. I'm like, well, shouldn't that like tell you like that if he says what he thinks, then he's being honest about being a bigot and being being sexist and being racist. Like this isn't complicated. But in 2019, like I hate to laugh, but we can confidently say Donald Trump is a racist. Donald Trump is sexist. Oh. Like we can confidently like say that without going, I don't have to shovel the proof at you. The proof is on the internet right now. As a matter of fact, you can go back 14 hours and find proof. So it's sad, but and again I hate to laugh, but it's true.
I feel like saying like when people make the excuse of like, he's from that era is such a cop out because we can look at someone who's like Bernie Sanders is
Bernie's
I think
older than him,
older than Trump, and he has been authentically the same.
Bernie's an old millennial.
My age.
He really is. He an old millennial, bro.
And that's why I like Bernie because I feel like he is the most authentic and genuine of the nominees.
Oh no,
I don't know much about all of them.
Fault. Bernie,
but like Kamala Harris has some shadows or skeletons in her closet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Kamala Harris has some skeletons in her closet. Joe Biden has some too, but like a lot of his supporters are just. It's the same thing that's gonna happen. It's the same thing that happened with Hillary, where it's like, Trump has just as much, if not worse, skeletons at her closet, but he was quick to point hers out, and y'all wanted to like jump on hers more because you felt it was threatening to your like email stuff and like that, and so y'all just rode with that quicker, and you let him slide by. And I feel like in a way people were trying to do that with Kamala Harris, but she's slowly been gaining ground on, especially after the last debate where she
after the debate, because
after the debate,
a lot of people. Even for her, I was like, I don't think I would really like Kamala Harris. I've kind of seen some shady shit she's done. Yeah. But, like, after the debate, I'm like, all right, I can look past that because I can see the fight in her, and I can see that she could sit across from Trump, stare him in the eye, and just go in.
Yeah.
And, and make him feel threatened and attacked. Whereas I don't see the same fight in, like, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie, or Biden.
Yeah. And, like any of the Bernie literally the biggest thing he has going against him is just his age. I don't think dude would
which is so ageist.
Yeah.
It's so ageist.
Yeah.
He has no health problems.
No, but it's just one of those things. It's just like people see him as like
he's gonna have a stroke in office.
Yeah.
I hate that line. I hate that line.
It sucks for him because he legit is the most like progressive of them, and he's the most consistent as far as like what he believes and stuff. Like we've heard this for the past 4 or 5. Like we know what Bernie stands for, and we know how he feels, and he hasn't wavered from it in any way. But it's just one of those like at this point it's hard for him to gain enough support for him to be able to pull it off. But
I also feel like Trump would spin that socialist commie card on Bernie real quick.
He would. Oh yeah.
Like that's his back pocket go to, and these conservatives are gonna eat that up.
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's what it's gonna come down to. It's gonna come down to the dirty game, and the only person that can duke it out with him the most I feel like is Kamala Harris. She's because she's had experience from the whole Brett Kavanaugh stuff. Because Trump was even chiming in on that. That's when he started like kind of just coming at her about it with certain stuff, and like you kind of saw that play out. But like she's like after watching how she handled that and just the way she punked that dude on national TV.
Oh yeah,
it was all over Twitter. It was everywhere. Dude might have still gotten to Supreme, but like you just saw the shame and guilt in his face and the disgust. Like you could tell he wanted to run and just like attack her because how furious he was getting, and she handled it all in such a graceful manner and all. And it's just like to me right now, she's the clear-cut candidate, and I think it has to be someone that's the minority. It's just perfect. Her being a minority and also a black woman, man, like, it's just
that's good.
It's gonna force Trump to show. It's not even gonna force Trump. It's gonna be so hard for Trump to not like show his true characteristics, especially if one of those things, like with everything playing out the way this whole racist narrative is just continually growing for him, and his team is constantly working. Like, his team legit hates him. His team hates him because he's a loose cannon, and there's a bunch of Republicans that hate him also, that like have like clearly cut showing that they don't like him and stuff like that. But it's one of those things, just like, that's our guy, we got to kind of ride with him. But there's like so many things you've seen where, you know, you get anonymous things like, this dude's an idiot, he's not competent, and it's like they're pointing out obvious stuff because anyone can see, like, dude can't read. Our president cannot read. It pisses me
off though, because I feel like a lot of these Republicans who don't agree with Trump just are like have no backbone. Like, they're not ever like speaking up or against him or anything like that. Like, when McCain was alive, McCain used to bash Trump daily.
Oh yeah,
yeah, bro.
McCain would bash Trump daily. He said, "I don't want him at my funeral." Trump's a dick for going.
Oh yeah,
that was
final piece where he was like, "I don't want him at our funeral." Like, just the final middle finger before like getting dug, and like Trump, like he couldn't not be petty. He was so heated, but it was one of those like McCain had the last word. And like Obama was there, all these other people there. Was like, nah, I don't want him at my funeral.
Bruh.
God, you know how much that like bothered him.
That it was tough to watch that funeral because of that.
He didn't go. I thought he went.
No, he couldn't.
He couldn't. McCain said he didn't want him there.
It literally his own words. He said it wasn't like the family said it.
No.
Nah, it wasn't like the family said it. Like, he had said it before he went.
Yeah, he had written that in.
Yeah,
as well.
after the he had made the diagnosis public.
That's him. McCain is a G.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Bro, it was one of the most gangster things I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it was one of the most gangster things I've ever seen. And the funeral was hard to, or at least I think it was the funeral. That junk was hard to watch because Joe was there. Barack was there, and I watched him and Barack go head to head in 2008, and that junk was crazy. Like, to know what McCain thought truly of Barack Obama, and to know what Barack thought of McCain, made me almost even more upset about where we are today, because as different as those two are, and as how much their supporters like hate each other in 2008 when Obama got elected, there was a respect between those two guys that I feel like there is, like, I'm like, man, where did the rivalries go? We're past rivalries. We're past, bro. If I see you in the street, I'm cutting your throat. Like, it's never supposed to be like, we're all Americans, bro. It was never supposed to be like this. It was never supposed to be like this.
Yeah, that is like, it's really crazy how you saw like how cool McCain and Obama were, especially like because they duked it out. They had they duked it out in office and all that stuff. But like at the end of the day, they still had respect for it. I mean, that's the same with like that's the same with Obama and like Bush and like many of these other people. Like, they duked it out and stuff in office, but at the end of the day, like, you saw these dudes, they would see each other in public, shake hands, all that stuff. But like, nobody has that same interaction with Trump, and no one ever will.
Like, I'm sure you guys have seen the most recent video that's like circulating where it's like that girl is talking about how she wouldn't trust Obama because he's an Arab, and then you see like McCain shut her down and is like, hand me the mic.
Oh yeah, that was during the 2008 presidential campaign. And McCain literally goes, like, no, like, he literally shuts her down and has the dude take the mic from her. Like, that's
you know if that's Trump. Trump's gonna let her ride that out and play that into the media.
No, he's already done that. He's gonna encourage it. Yeah, it's just crazy. You were at that rally.
If McCain is at that rally and there's those chants in her back, he'd be like, stop. You know, like, immediately shut that down. But that's not who we have.
The craziest thing, I wish I had.
It just shows like the integrity they had about like I want to win this presidential race and stuff. And you're gonna get like the the dirty slander of like, you know, this person does, but it's stuff like, oh, he back taxes or stuff. It's like corporate, you know, like stuff that like everyone has little dirt in their closet as far as, oh, he may be having paid taxes, or, you know, he has some sketchy emails here and there and stuff like that. But it was none of the stuff like, oh, this dude wasn't born in our country. It was none of the like just grimy discriminate.
Like I don't know where this social disconnect came from.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
But you were touching on it earlier, Lindell. Like I don't know what happened. It was like so much respect, so much for this. It was policy versus policy. Cause like you had the conservative policy versus democratic policy, and then all of a sudden it became hate and racism versus like normal people who just care about each other versus hate. And I don't know where it came from.
Yeah. I've been trying to find this video for the past half hour. I kid you not. And the thing that got me then, and it still gets me now, and it was a major liberal-leaning news network, and this was right after the election. And this dude, this anchor gets up, I kid you not, and he says, I want to issue an apology because when we're doing this thing, it gets heated. Like, it gets really heated when you come down to policies and the politics and all that stuff, and it gets really heated. And sometimes we say stuff about each other, trying to get our point across. And he says, the men that we tried to make Bush out to be, to McCain out to be, to Huckabee out to be, the men that we tried to make them out to be, this man really is. And he says, I want to apologize to those guys and to them, like in Republicans and all this stuff, because we spend all of our time trying to make these guys out to be demons, like, and basically to be like evil people. He said, the dude that we got right now is the very person that we claimed that the guys before him were. And that junk stuck with me forever. And I've been trying to find this video. Literally, this was a major news network, and this was fresh after the election. And I wish I could find it, but that thing has stuck with me to this day because, and this is the one thing that I will say, the one good thing that has come from this, and I will stand by this, is exposure. And I've used it more with like talking about the church and talking about Christians. Like you can say you love Jesus, you say you want to be like Jesus, but the reality is if you support somebody who represents the exact opposite, we can only take you so seriously, right?
Yeah.
But in general, one good thing that has come from this term, and I'm hoping it doesn't take a second term for us to like open our eyes with it's looking that way, is people have exposed themselves for what they really believe and who they really are. That is the one healthy thing that's come from all this.
Made it safe for them to come out and
we know,
proudly wave their flag of, hey,
we know who you are.
Hey,
now
I hate these groups of certain people.
We know what you care about. We know what you're apathetic about.
Yeah. And that's like what I was saying earlier. It's like his presidency is going to end at some point, but you're like what you've revealed about yourself, that's going to be out there for a long time.
Forever. You've revealed yourself.
You might be reigning in like the gloat of, oh, I got this leader at this moment now, but like it's all going to come back to bite you. It's all going to.
Yeah. Yeah.
This might sound petty, but this goes back to the exposure stuff. I was in the mountains with my brother.
Yeah.
And I was like holding his dog or whatever, and we're just like sitting there, and this like family comes up, and there's a daughter, and her father's wearing a Trump hat, and she goes, "Can we pet your dog?" And we said no. For the sole reason that they were wearing a Trump hat.
Bro, I thought it was gonna be something serious, bro. Hey, I'm not gonna hold that against you. Oh my gosh. Nah. Don't touch my dog.
And I hate to like put that on her daughter because of who he is, but you can't.
What would have been even better if she was petting the dog and he comes over to pet it and you're like, no, not you. Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Hello?
Nah, we'll give you a pass for that one.
Nah, I would have done
cool,
probably way pettier. And it's like, oh yeah, no, not taking the hat, toss it off the mountain or something. I don't know. I've probably gone reckless, but that's why better you than me. But nah, man, it's. I mean, at the end of the day, as we kind of wrap this up, because I don't think at this point we could say anything new or
right.
We really can't.
Yeah, because it's like it's just all been the same talk and all. But I think it's even if it becomes repetitive and stuff, it's something that we need to continue to get out there and get to remind because it's like the Tim Wise says in that thread, it's we got to consistently point this out, consistently bring it to the limelight, and make sure consistently people are seeing this firsthand. And there's people that like want to not see it and want to like hide away from it because that's their way of like, you know, if I don't see it, like I'm less inclined to think about it and, you know, ponder it and all that. But, you know, getting it out there, and like I said, 94% of the people that had voted for David Duke in 1990 voted for him again in 91. 94% people voted for him again in 91. So like a good amount of the Trump supporters that voted for him in what was it, 2014, 2016, whatever it was, 2016 are going to vote for him again. We're not trying to and there's those people that voted for him that knew they messed up and made a mistake. You don't need to change their mind. For like within legit a couple of months, they realized their mistakes already. Yeah. So like those people aren't the focus groups. It's the people that aren't showing out. And you can see that those are the people that are getting targeted because a lot of the stuff where it's like, you know, inmates aren't like if you've been prisoned, it's hard for you to vote. It's the minorities. It's like when we had the primaries last year, when you know you had Georgia where they were stealing voting machines and like hiding them in warehouses, or like there was just all these sketchy stuff. They know there's more people, like they know their way to win is oppress the people that are more likely to vote against them and stuff like that. So
exactly. Yeah. And this is why the voter identification is an issue. This is why like even right now Florida would have a Democratic senator and a Democratic governor.
Oh yeah.
If the law that was passed that allowed people with felonies to vote was previously already a law.
Yep.
So it would be a very different color. Florida would be. It would be blue. It would not be red.
Yeah. And it's all the systematic stuff to, you know, oppress the people that are already oppressed, the minorities, keep them from voting. And that's why he's been huge on this whole immigration and all that stuff also. And he's feeding that narrative because, you know, the more he feeds that narrative, the more it's like, yeah, no, I don't want this person of different color to vote. No. You don't represent America or whatever. I represent America. And so, yeah, it's just all part of their overall scheme. Yeah. To try to keep oppressing those people and have his supporters show out more and, you know, bring him back out for another term, which hopefully doesn't end up happening. But
yeah, I used to think that, we just gotta love one another and like promote positivity. I used to think that was the thing that needed to be put. That was the only thing that my energy needed to be put on. And I think the most important lesson that I've learned is because a lot of people want to, like, when you point stuff out as negative, people go, oh, why are you being so negative? Like, why are you being so negative? It's not negative to identify negativity. And it's been super, super important for me to realize that, yes, I should love one another. And yes, as a Christian, like, I should be telling people, look, like, this is the way, the truth, and the life. But it's not just that. It's not love. It's not just love, and it's not just accepting. It's also identifying evil when you see it, and identifying hate when you see it, like calling it out. And that's super important. That's one of the things that I've learned in the last couple of years. Is you can't just be passive love. Active love is also looking hate in the face and going, yeah, that's hate. And I want to make sure everybody around knows that that's hate. And knows what to call hate when they see it. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically been it for me, and that's the last thing I'll say about it. Because like I've tried this whole time, like I'm not gonna get fired up. But yeah, it's not enough to just be like, you know, love, acceptance, all this stuff. You also have to look at hate. We're way past that. Yeah, we're way past that. Yeah. You got to be able to identify evil and hate and call it out for what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. Any last thoughts you got, Mike?
Not really. Just, you know, just don't vote for Trump if you guys are listening.
I think simply put, and that's and like one of my things going into this next election and all, it's like, if I know you voted for him, I'm cutting you off. We're
at that point though.
I don't even give a damn.
We're at that point.
I'm at this point where it's like there's not like
I've been doing that on all my social media.
Yeah, like
if I see anyone who retweets Trump, people from our old small groups.
Oh yeah,
Mine too. Mine too, bro.
I see Trump this. I see Trump that. I'd be like, bye.
Yeah.
Get off my line. I don't need you anywhere.
Yeah, it's wild, bro.
Nah, no.
And that's one of those things. It's like being a Christian, I can love you and all that. I can love you from afar and stuff, but it doesn't say like, nah, I need to engage with you. I need to interact. Like for me, it's just like, there's nothing you could tell me about why you vote for Trump. Like even we could be the most thriving economy of all time. At the end of the day, the dude that's leading it is still a racist. Like that that in itself goes against everything our country stands for.
Yeah.
And for that to be the leader, no. Like go ahead.
This is my last stop. Like, I can talk policy. I can get you're conservative. We can discuss and debate policy and this and that. But there's no debate whether you're conservative or not. You and your reasoning should not be voting for Trump. Like,
that's what I'm saying. We're past all that stuff.
You can have conservative views, but you could disagree with what Trump is doing.
It's all a morality issue at this point.
Yeah.
It's not policy. Yeah. You're right. It's a morality issue.
Yeah. So
you show me who you are as a person when you vote for a man that represents this.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I talk about when people expose themselves for who they are.
Yeah.
The one healthy thing that's come from all this, and there's a way to process this in an unhealthy way, but the one healthy thing that's come from this is like you can't work on a wound, you can't heal a wound if you either don't know it's there or you don't know what type of wound it is. And the good thing is, the one good thing that's come from this is there's a huge, like America has a giant stab wound that's been exposed, festering for years, and now finally it's at the surface and everybody knows it's there.
Yeah. So are we gonna now it's just this next year will show how are we gonna heal that bandage up, or are we just gonna keep letting it grow?
We're gonna hold it open.
Yeah. Let that cut wide.
If we keep letting it grow, I'm out. I'm gonna find me a work visa and I'm moving.
Hey, come with me to the Bahamas, bro. I got the link. Link up with me in the Bahamas, bro. I got connects on Nassau. I got connects on Nassau,
exactly.
bro.
I'm gonna find me work visa, try to work somewhere in Europe, get us out of here.
Yeah, man. And if I'm over there, I'll be damned if I say I'm from America. You know they're gonna roast you. I can see why you left.
I'll say I'm from America.
I can see.
I'll be like, I'm from America. I had to leave.
Well, last time my wife was in Africa,
I couldn't stand the hate,
bro. Last time my wife was in Africa, she got asked about that. What do you think about Trump? What do you think about Trump? Like it's people think that our business is our business. Nah, the rest of the world is watching us, man, and talking about us
and laughing.
Yeah,
they're watching and laughing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those. It's also the same where like there's people that are a lot of it laughing also, but there's also people he's got supporters around the world because they see it from they see a filtered version of like, oh, like their economy is doing really well, blah 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 blah, and there's like, yeah, I know I support Trump and stuff. It's like, buddy, you're not seeing the full picture. You're not seeing the full picture. But hey, people in our own country aren't seeing the full picture, so like I can't even be mad at you.
Is Merkel the German? I don't want to say prime minister. Is she the German leader, Merkel? Do you guys know?
Let me Merkel.
I think she is
Chancellor of Germany. Merkel. Angela Merkel? She's the chancellor.
Yeah, of Germany. Angela Merkel.
Yeah.
She actually had a video recently of like, basically like reporters are asking her if she heard like what was said at the Trump rally and like send her back, and then the tweets. And she made a comment on that and was basically like, that's ridiculous. I stand with this congresswoman.
Yeah.
I stand with Congresswoman Omar regarding.
No,
I just thought that was kind of cool.
One of the most ridiculous things, like crazy things I saw, it was like this German magazine called Stern. They so here's this tweet.
I was wondering when that was gonna come up.
It said Germans know fascism when they see it. Today, the nation's top magazine, Stern, declares Donald Trump a Nazi. Yesterday, Chancellor Angela Merkel came to the defense of U.S. Congress squad, and they have like on the cover of Stern, they have a picture of Trump with his hands saluted out like Hitler, with the American flag wrapped around him, and that's gonna be an image that's gonna live forever. And like when Germany's calling you a Nazi, sorry, dude, you're a Nazi.
No, and
like
not only that, did you see the video of a Holocaust survivor?
Oh, yeah, I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
Who lives here in America now, basically like saying this is the same.
Yeah, this is the same like during that time. Yeah, the concentration camps
like
and all that.
Same, like
the same stuff with like the Japanese internment camps too.
Yeah,
like
there have been people who are like,
that's wild. Like someone who's seen the history is coming here telling us it's the same, and people are still ignorant to this.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like
I don't get it.
If they see this dude as a Nazi leader, as a white nationalist, like there's no way you can argue against it.
But again, in a way, this is
and
super
if you
healthy.
You're just stupid.
Well, it is stupid. What I mean by healthy,
I'm not going to argue with a Holocaust survivor what is and what is not similar.
Right. What I mean by healthy is that you can't argue with that person. So anybody who does is just it's obvious. Like we're not. There's nothing.
You try arguing against that. It's like all right. You're letting us.
We know who you are.
Not to pay attention.
Yeah, we know who you are.
You have to say.
Right. Again, it's not this crazy existential abstract stuff. We're not talking about anything abstract anymore. Somebody who literally survived it walks up and goes, "Yeah, this smells real familiar."
Yeah.
Right. Anybody who argues against that is just delusional.
And that's the same thing where it's like, I'm sure there's people while Hitler was reigning in Germany and all that were, supporting him and like talking themselves into like, you stuck with that person this long and you might feel like he's benefiting you. So you're going to be inclined to think that this person, is this great leader or whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's just the same way we see it here. Like these people see it with Trump, but it's just like, it goes all back to this Tim Weiss thing where it's like most people that voted for Trump, like they're gonna ride with that till they die for the most part. Like that's their ride or die, and that's one of those things. It's like they can't come to terms with the idea they voted a monster into office. Like you would have to admit that you messed up. You would have to
that they were complicit.
You complicit. You played a part in that, and people are too damn prideful to do that. And so they're going to keep riding this out, keep fighting it. And
you're completely right when you say ride it for life. That we always see those Reagan 84 shirts.
Yeah.
we're going to see Trump 2016 shirts for the rest of our life. And if he wins in 2020, we're going to see Trump 2020 shirts.
You're going to see the MAGA hats. You're going to, all those things are going to stick around.
Those are, yep.
Yeah. And
then people are going to remember Trump unless he wins and a recession happens, might be a different story. But people will remember Trump and his presidency as you're going to have the people he was awful and extremely racist, and then you're going to have people who are like one of the best presidents to ever live.
Yep. You're going to have
There's going to be that divide.
But, I think 50 years from now, our kids are just going to be like, what the frick were they doing? Like, how'd y'all mess this up so bad? And... that's a great question. That is a great question. But like Lindell said earlier, like it's made it. The one good thing is it's shown a lot of people their true intentions and where they really lie, and like it's just helped. I think it's helped cleared out. Like, okay,
I'll always be grateful for that.
Yeah, like because
that is one thing I'll be grateful for.
Definitely. So, dude, Mike, thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks for spending time here on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude.
Of course.
Definitely. We'll have to have you on next time again to talk sports and hear some of your ridiculous sports takes because Lord knows There's no one more frustrating debating sports with than Michael Jagolski.
I don't know.
No,
Corey.
Yep.
No. Corey's somewhat rational.
Corey.
Mike just be spewing some stuff out there. I'm like,
Nah, see, I like Mike because Mike will go. I respect Mike. I respect Mike because Mike and I have talked sports plenty, and Mike is one of the few dudes I know that while you're having a conversation, he'll go, you know what, you're right. Like he's the only dude I know of that might
He'll
change
start
his
off
mind.
reckless and then halfway through, like, okay, I might.
Most people will catch themselves.
I'm not the type to just sit here and argue blindlessly.
Yeah.
I mean, once that light's showing, I'm like, all right, you guys gonna make it sense
right.
here.
I appreciate
that.
Because I try to be that way. Like if I'm wrong, I'm gonna just take the L. I'll just say, you know what, that's legit. That's a good point. Or whatever. Most people you argue with them, they can't take it. Can't take it. They'll just ride with the L into the ground. So but yeah, we'll have to get you on soon to talk something that's not as polarizing, like seriously polarizing. We'd love to talk sports and some other stuff. Have some fun.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that.
Cool, man. Appreciate you joining us.
We can talk about who the best ever. Talk about who the greatest ball player all the time.
We can try.
Let's say this for later.
Pass.
Yeah.
Kobe. Pass.
I was gonna say I ain't gonna say, but Kobe and
we're gonna leave that for next time.
That's a little teaser. We call that in the industry
cliffhanger.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Leave y'all wanting more. So thanks for joining us, Mike.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, no problem. And you guys could follow us on Twitter at CDiscoursepod. That's where we post all the episodes. And also, if you're listening, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Culture Discourse Podcast, and also we're on Spotify too. So Culture Discourse Podcast on Spotify. Look it up, listen, follow, subscribe, give us a review, share it with your friends. Maybe you like it or not. But catch y'all next week. Culture Discourse Podcast. We're out.